Hi, how is everyone doing today? This is Amy Hamilton. I'm coming to you live to talk about the 3 C's of peer management. I will be checking periodically for comments to see if anybody has any questions or anything that you want to add. I would like to thank Saeed and the team for inviting me to this program. It is really exciting to be here, and I'm going to go right into the meat of the matter, which is going to be talking about working in matrixed organizations. I don't know how many people out there work in matrix organizations, but what's really common in project management is to not be in charge of the entire project team. So maybe you are working in one section like the CIO and he'll have to work across the engineering department. Maybe you have to work with construction, with HVAC, with all kinds of different peoples. And it can be really difficult and a challenge. So I wanted to talk about what it takes on the soft skill side, communications, to work in these kind of different environments. And my experience as a project manager is primarily in IT project management, but I'm willing to take questions in other areas and types of project management as well. I've also been a project manager for almost 10 years now as a certified project manager through the Project Management Institute. If you have questions about the PMP, I am probably not the best person to take those questions because I took the project management exam when it was still on the first version. On the other hand, I've kept very active in the field, and I know a lot of professionals who teach project management and can put you in touch with those people. One of my first words of advice is join your local PMI chapter where you'll be able to network and meet lots of terrific people. So let's go straight into it then, and we're going to talk about the first of the 3 C's. The first is going to be cooperation. Cooperation is the bare minimum where what you want to do is just get along with other employees in your organization. So for instance, in my case, I've had to work with some coders before. If you've ever had to work with coders, they're a lot of times very introverted. They don't like working a lot of times with other people, and it can be a challenge. So when working with coders before, it's sometimes not about having the best relationship possible. Sometimes it's just about having a relationship. So the cooperation is where you want to come together to the table and say, hey there, fellow project person, I need to work with you on this. And I realize that you're seeing this as my project, but it's not my project. It's really the company's project. And what you need to do to get them to the table to see the involvement is realize it's not about you as a person, it's about the organization. And one of the ways that you can also get cooperation is if you have a primary sponsor that the other team is able to respect. And this way they realize that pass or fail, success or failure, it's about the entire organization. It's not just about you as a person. And it's a really good way to get buy-in. On the other hand, cooperation being that lowest level that you're really going for when you're talking about the 3 C's of peer management is not the best way to go, because what you're going to get out of that is a finished project, but you're not going to get a great project. So a lot of times when you're at the cooperation phase, what you're looking for is just someone who's going to come there, they're going to do the bare minimum, they're not really going to be adding to the feedback loop, they're going to do just what it takes, exactly what's in the project charter. So this is not the best way to get a project done, but at least you get the project to completion. The second one I want to talk about is really important, and this is going to be the collaboration. Collaboration is so powerful in an organization, and when you're able to truly collaborate with your peers across the organization, this is where you are creating those amazing projects. This is where you're creating products that you're able to go out and you're able to sell, and you're able to just say, wow, this is even better than I planned. A lot of times the way that you're able to do this is that you have to find those common entry points, and you have to be able to get the rest of the team excited about what it is that you're offering. You want to be able to go out there and say, hey, fellow project members, this is what we're doing, and this is how it's going to impact our company, this is how it's going to impact our revenues, this is how it's going to benefit the organization. And you want to get that buy-in from every single member of the organization. When you're able to do that and collaborate, this is when you create even better projects. So you hear a lot of times in our field, in IT, project management, for example, where somebody comes up with an idea, but then somebody can build on that idea, and it's like layering. That's when you're really collaborating and you're coming together. But as project managers, there's one downside to collaboration, and that can be scope creep. You have to remember, especially in a traditional waterfall project, that you can get overwhelmed by too many things. So maybe what you want to do is capture all of these great ideas. You can move some of it into a parking lot. You can go back to the project sponsor and you can ask for follow-on or additional resources. So maybe you want to phase the project and you can say, hey, here's all the amazing things that we want to build into our project. We've really been collaborating on this. We have some great ideas. Here's how we think it can benefit the company. Here's how we can get more revenue. And get that project sponsor to understand, like, here's what you can do in increment 1, here's what you can do in increment 2, and increment 3, and so on. And collaboration is really where you are able to get everyone in the organization to buy into what you're doing, and you're able to add so much more value to your organization. So you've got the first 2 C's, cooperation, collaboration. The second key is going to be communication. And communication is across the peer organization. It's also going up to your top project sponsors, and it's going down to the subordinates and the people who your project is going to impact. One of the worst cases I've seen is where we roll out a project, but the people who are going to be the end users are not bought into the project and they refuse to use it. So you want to make sure that you're communicating the entire time that you're working on a project. And one of the things that I would like to find out from the audience is how many people actually do a formal communication management plan. And the reason I'm asking about that is because when you study and you read the PMBOK, and it says the importance of the communication management plan, but when I talk to actual project managers, they tell me they don't actually use a communication management plan. And I think that that can be very sad and very frustrating. And I think it's one reason why we struggle is because a lot of times as project managers, we focus on the hard skills. We focus on that WBS. We focus on earned value. But what we're not focused on is the soft skills. We're not focused on that communication management plan. So I would encourage every single project manager, go out there and write your communication management plan in the beginning. And one of the first things you want to look at is that internal. How do you work with your project team? Are you going to have formalized project meetings? How often are you going to work together? If you're working agile, you might be coming together every single day. If you're working traditional waterfall, maybe you're only coming together once a week. Are you working on a project that really takes you around the globe? Is it going to be almost impossible to get all of your project members in the same meeting because some of them are working on the other side of the world and you can't pull everyone in together? So you need to figure out how are you going to do that. So maybe instead of project meetings, are there going to be emails? Is there a repository where you want to share your information? How does the project team share information? And that's really critical. The other thing when you look at your communication is going to be, how do you communicate to your hire? How are you communicating to the C-suite? How are you communicating to the project sponsors? This can be really important because without those project sponsors, your project will fail. What you want to do is take a look at what's valuable to them and know what each and every one of those people have at stake when it comes to your project. Perhaps you haven't considered that the finance department, that their software is going to be writing on your infrastructure. And if you don't get this done, the payroll is not going to come out. And what is it? Every employee, we really do want to get paid, right? So make sure that you're thinking about that. What is these second and third order effects? And make sure that you're looking at every single person. What about cybersecurity? So many times our projects get derailed because we don't include cybersecurity from the beginning. Take a look at those people who are going to be on your panel and who you have to answer to, and make sure that you include these things when you're looking at who's above you in your communication management plan. And how often do you have to present, and what kind of data? A lot of times I'll see fellow project managers and they are scrambling up into the last minute to get the right data into their project reports. Capture from the beginning what you need to be in those project reports and make sure that you're ready for that information so that when you're presenting at those panels, you're prepared and you're able to give all the accurate information. I have seen project managers who don't have the ability to communicate. They're horrible at public speaking. And even though they're really good project managers and they know their material, they're afraid. They go in to talk to the C-suite. They don't come across as confident. They don't come across as somebody who can manage a project team. And then what happens is they get the project sponsors to no longer support their project. And I've even seen projects canceled after this. Good projects that are going well, but because the project manager isn't able to communicate the value of what they're doing up to the C-suite. And then the last people that you really want to make sure that you're communicating with is the project users. When you're looking at the project users, what you want to make sure of is they know what you're doing and you've included their requirements throughout the project. A lot of times what I like to do for software is roll out a beta project. And this gives you an opportunity to work with those different users and say, hey, what do you like? What do you not like? What can we do different as a project team? And look at their business processes. Are you creating software? Are you creating infrastructure that's going to support how they do business? Have you made sure that you've included enough memory into it? Have you ensured that you created enough transport layer into what it is that you're developing? And if you know the critical users, people who are influencers in your organization, this can make a big difference. I encourage you to go out there and kind of find out, maybe there's somebody in the HR department, and if you don't get their buy-in, they're not going to support your software. But if you do get their buy-in, this is going to be the person who can really influence the rest of the organization and say, hey, I love this software. I love this IT project. You've got to get on board. You've got to start using it. So those are the things that I encourage everyone to do. And so this goes back into the cooperation phase, the collaboration phase, and then the communication. And communication cannot be overemphasized in everything we do. When you look at this Facebook feed right now and talking to you all live, it's the communication that allows each of us as project managers to add value into our organization. I've been looking through the feed right now and I haven't seen any questions yet, but I'm here to answer your questions about general project management, but particularly in working in peer organizations. If you've had any difficulty maybe working with a peer or working with somebody you don't have direct control over, this is really where I would like to see some of those specific questions that you might have and be able to address them. I know that for me in particular, I've had a really hard time working with different sections, and I've looked at how do you work with somebody and you need them to work on your project, but at the same time they can't make time for you because their supervisor has them so busy and so task saturated and they're on your critical path. So you're like, what are you going to do? And then I've realized going to the subordinate isn't going to work. The person you really need to go and talk to is going to be their supervisor. And going to their supervisor, what I've talked about is maybe there's something from my project team, something from the IT department that I can do that helps them. And then in exchange, they can let me use that critical resource, that critical asset that can then help me so that I can share that information with them. And then we're able to communicate, to cooperate, and get the project done. These are the kind of things that I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys out with. Another thing is I've talked to Saeed. He's the one who runs this wonderful project management site. He has been fabulous the entire time as I've dealt with audiovisual problems to start using the Facebook Live to share this information with you. And I'm interested in other project management topics that you might be interested in. We've posted recently on waterfall project management versus agile project management. And I think that that's a great area. I see a question in here is how to build a good career in the PM field. And I think that that's going to really be dependent, first of all, on your personal organization and then you as a project manager. I've seen a lot of people who've started off in the PM field as a technician, and then what they do is they work their way through to become a project manager. Recent studies from the Project Management Institute has shown that PMOs are now in over 50% of large organizations now, which is really big for us in the project management community. So I want you to think about, are you in an organization with PMO? Are you able to communicate with your C-suite and able to talk to the CEO, the CIO, the CTO? And do you have a project management office that is within your organization? And if not, should you build one? And I was in an organization before. I was the first project manager who was brought on board. And by the time I left, we had 3 different people within our PMO, and we kept growing that. And when I left the organization, and I found out they were already up to 5 in addition. So Mohammed, you have a question, is what is the point of PMI chapters around the world? And the point of PMI chapters is this is our opportunity where we can network, where we can get together and work with each other. I've been in project management chapters all around the world, and I have found that I can go out and reach out to different people and get expertise and work with them and say, hey, here's what I'm doing in my project management field. What are you doing in yours? What works? What doesn't work? And another great way for this is a lot of project managers work freelance. They don't work dedicated to one company. So maybe when your project ends, you're looking for the next project because it's going to go into operations. What you want to do is reach out there and you want to find out what jobs are there in your area, what kind of specialties in project management. And as an engineer, the other 2 things I would encourage you to do is take a look at business analytics as well as engineering chapters in your local area. The next question is, as a junior inspector with 9 years experience, what's the main principles to be a project manager? So I really hit hard this time on communications and the soft skills. In addition to that, what you want to do is focus on your hard skills. One of the things I'm going to be talking about in a later project management live talk is going to be earned value management and knowing where your resources are going and where's your money going. A lot of times as project managers, we're not very good about tracking that, and that can create a lot of frustration. When you're going to your sponsor meetings, you need to be able to say, this is how far along we are in the project. This is the amount of resources, this is the amount of money that we've spent on this project, and this is the value that you're getting out of it. One of the scariest things in the world for a project sponsor is when they just keep sinking money in and sinking money in, and they're not getting a return on investment. So what you need to be able to do is convey to those project sponsors, the people who are in the C-suite, so like your CIO, your CEO, your CFO, what are they invested in? Why do you have all these people working on this project, and what can they get out of it? I'm not seeing any more questions. So what I'm going to do is talk about the project management career field in general, because there seems to be a lot of questions on it. So when you look at project management, there's a lot of different areas. Like I said, my focus has been on IT project management. There's construction project management. I meet a lot of construction engineers when I'm out there, and that can be really great. One of the areas where I found intersection a lot of times is now with the way that people are building smart buildings. And this is really great as an IT project manager. If I can work with the HVAC engineers, if I can work with the construction managers as they're putting in wiring, that I'm already there as an IT project manager, and that IT is not an afterthought when you're building a building. I think a lot of times when you go into an older building, it can be really difficult. You're drilling through concrete. It can just be an absolute disaster. But for a new building, when they include smart features from the beginning, so that your HVAC can come on just by basically a thought, and your users have no idea, because smart technology now is integrated into everything. The Internet of Things has become so incredibly valuable to us as users, to us as practitioners, that being able to include IT project management from the beginning has been really, really successful for me, and it's something that I encourage you to do. I'm looking to see if there's any new questions. A lot of thank yous. Guys, I want to thank you for your time. I really want to thank Saeed and the rest of the project management site. What I have promised him is I'm going to be posting more, sharing more, doing more live feeds, because there's a lot of value in this and for us to come together as a project management community. Okay, we have another question on the relation between project management and academic research projects, and that is absolute. And if you're a PMI member, you get 2 different periodicals that come out from Project Management Institute. One of those is PMI Today, and PMI Today is kind of like a news article. It's like a magazine. It's really nice. It shows you local projects. But the other one that comes out is the Project Management Scholarly Resource Journal. And when you look at that journal, that's the journal that goes into the academic research. And you can use some of these statistics that come out of that publication to go back to your project sponsors and say, look, here's the research that's been done. It shows that project management is valuable, and here's what a PMO office can do and support in our organization. Here's why we need to make sure that project management is involved in everything we do. A lot of times in the past, project management was kind of relegated to the end. It was only included in small projects. Now project management is included a lot of times across the board. One of the other great things I've seen is where project management has moved into operations, and they have started to operationalize and projectize the operations. So instead of just ongoing operations, they make sure that project management principles are being applied. And that's a really great way that you're able to add that value to your organization as a project manager, and you're able to get more resources and show the value of it. I have about 10 minutes left, and I'm looking to see if there are any more questions. What we've talked about today is the 3 C's of working in a peer organization. The research journal name, what I'm going to do is I will look it up afterwards and I'll post it in the comments section just to make sure that you have the link to that resource. And if I can think of any other project management journals that are of value, every year Project Management Institute does one scholarly conference as well as the normal networking conferences. And so if you're interested in academic research, you should try to attend that conference, and I'll get that name for you and make sure that it's posted all in the comments section so that you have those different resources. The other thing is I am looking for topics that you guys would be interested in hearing about in the future. My name is Amy Hamilton. My website is amyshamilton.com. I post leadership, project management, and cybersecurity because those are the areas that I focus on in my life and in my business. In addition, I'm an author, and on the 1st of May, my book's going to come out. It's called The Project Manager, Life is a Project, and it's all about how you can apply what you know about project management to your day-to-day life. So I see the question, is a PMP be helpful without having enough knowledge about BPM and CPM? Are these 3 independent sectors? And they absolutely are independent sectors. I've been a project management professional for almost 10 years. I don't have the BPM or the CPM. I focused very strictly in the project management career field with the focus on cybersecurity and IT project management. So that's absolutely fundamental tools to be used by a project team to manage and control a project during design and construction. That is a very, very awesome topic, and that's definitely a separate topic. And that's something that I would like to write an article about and then come back to you guys in the future with. If you guys have other suggestions on completely separate topics, and today we focused on soft skills, but I'm completely open to talking about hard skills, experiences that I've had, and you guys contributing and sharing the experiences you have. And this is a great forum where we can get different project managers together from different areas. Project management is difficult. It's a challenge. We are working across career fields. We are working with different people. And the wonderful thing too is we were working with a lot of diversity and different cultures. As I mentioned earlier when I was talking about communication, it can be really difficult when you're working on a global project. So I'm based right now in Stuttgart, Germany. I have people on my projects who are based in the United States. I have some people who are based in Asia, in Singapore, in Korea. And it can be really, really difficult to get all those diverse project management teams together and to get them talking. And then the beauty of English is it's a common language a lot of times, but at the same time, I can be talking to somebody from Britain or from Australia, and they speak a completely completely different English than I do. And that's another thing I want to apologize for. If I am speaking too quickly, I will try to slow down in the future. I knew that as an American, I had that tendency to kind of go very quickly, which is not always an effective way of communication. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up at this point. What I owe you guys is the Project Management Institute scholarly journal information, as well as the conference information. And what I'm going to do is put together a list of the different topics you're coming up with, risk assessments, project design, and we'll come up with a series of different events. The other thing I am looking for that Saeed and I have talked about a lot is what works for this community for times to have live sessions. So I'm looking at the people who have been able to come online today. We'd like to do these probably at least every other week, if not every week. So let me know what works for you guys. We can adjust the times. I work a standard 8 to 5 kind of day in my world, and I'm on CET time. So let me know what works for you guys. I really want to just thank you guys. I'd like for you to remember this is Amy Hamilton. I'm a project manager, PMP, like the rest of you, and more than happy to share my experiences. And also just check out my YouTube video on the secrets to life from a PMP. Have a great day.